Salute. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Chloe, Teresa, Project Sky Falls. I missed somebody that's further up. Hi, everybody. Good Thursday evening. I greet you all with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept, receive, and share the blessings from the universe. And I want to thank you all. You are a wonderful group. I think I have 450 subscribers now. I never thought would happen. So you all are the greatest. And I'm doing a little smudging here. And I just thought, as I do these shows and do well, it's not really a show, but in a way it is. But anyway, podcast, live stream. I realized that each one of these is a prayer, and that each one is a meditation of sorts, because I'm having a conversation with you, and I try to interact. Hi, Brick. There's the one I was missing. Maybe somebody else out there too. But I love you all. Thank you. And I got a fan blowing this way and one back here, and I got this little swirling thing going on right now, and I didn't want the sage to go out. So, but anyway, in thinking that, I was like, each one of these is a ceremony, every one of these videos. And if I would look at it as such versus just a live stream sharing with you all, that maybe this should be a prayer every time, So I offered this simple prayer. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to Mother Earth and Father Sky. Thank you to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south, to the up and the down and the within. I thank you and honor you, and thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon me, and continue to share with the universe. It's up to us to accept it and receive it, and utilize those things that we receive from the universe. Thank you to the universe, Father Sky, Sister Moon, grandmothers, grandfathers, all of our relations and all of our relatives, especially the grandmothers and grandfathers and great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers. Let them bestow the wisdom of our ages, of who we are, through our own genetic line. Ask the questions of grandmother and grandfather, and see if some of our answers, some of our questions aren't answered. Thank you. Aho, Wado. So with that, I was tinkering around with, this thought, that thought. They were like, we want you to talk about something. Like, okay, there's a whole crap load of stuff we can talk about, right? But what is it that seems to be on everybody's mind right now? And one of the things, of course, is all the politics and stuff. And this show isn't about politics, but it's going to include politics, okay? Because what is freedom? What do we mean by freedom? Am I free to go outside and pee in the yard? Yes, because I'm down here in the edge of the woods. If I lived in a city, maybe not. But, is it our right to, and I don't mean we have the right to go defecate anywhere. That's not what I mean. But the idea, though, that we have the right to be free within our own house, with our own domain, and we're finding that depending on where you live and so forth, that's not the way it is. Now, here's the thing. There are people who believe that they are trapped in a situation, so that they must accept these terms, like people who live in these neighborhoods where all the houses have to have a certain thing and all that kind of garbage. Oh, my God. I would not live in a place like that. Oh, please. A closed neighborhood would be one thing, but to live in one of those type of communities, I've known people who live in them, and they're like, boy, did we make a mistake. But they bought a $200,000 house, and they're stuck. They don't know anywhere else they want to go or whatever. Now they're stuck with the conditions, right? And having to keep their lawn and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the idea, though, that even people who are free to choose end up being the masters of something. Now, I want to consider freedom more the cost of freedom. And there was a song by Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and I don't think Young was with them at the time. Do you find the cost of freedom buried in the ground? Mother Earth will swallow you. Lay your body down. Can't remember what the song is, but that's the beginning of it. Used to sing it in three-part harmony with a group that I was with. Anyway, but to the point, where do we find the cost of freedom? Now, is it the cost of freedom to be able to walk into a store, or is it cost to, that you're Mexican or black or some other nationality and you don't have the freedom to be able to choose what you want to do? And me and a couple of my friends over the last few days about all this Black Lives Matter and stuff, and it's like, we were part of the demonstrations back in the 60s. I was. And I was all for, there was like a really good reason for there to be Martin Luther King and all these folks, and how times have changed since the 60s versus now, and what the folks are arguing about and what they feel that they have to have. They weren't there back in the 60s and the 50s, and how folks were treated back then, really treated back then. Now, I'm not saying that we should stand by and let people be demoralized, beat up. I'm a white person, and I've been demoralized and beat up by the police, and one of the guys was a black officer. So what I'm supposed to be prejudiced against black officers now or something? But anyway, but the freedom. So people make these choices. Well, I'm going to live in this gated community. Well, then you have given up your freedom, because now you're going to live within this thing, within rules, but you have chosen that. So what does freedom mean to me? Well, freedom to me is down here in the swamp, and I can do about any dadgum thing I want to. I could even do some immoral things if I really was into that sort of thing, but I'm not. But to the point, though, that I'm free to do anything I want to down here. I can go dig a hole. I can go build a, thing. I can go down in the woods. I have the freedom to do anything I want to, with whatever I choose to do. Other people don't have that. They can go out in their front yards. They got a little driveway, or they live in an apartment complex and they have to go up 2 or 3 flights of stairs. And you used to live in an upstairs apartment. Oh my God, I can't believe now, I bet you about having to walk 15 feet from the truck to the house, and going up flights of stairs and carrying, oh, wow. So what we choose to do, it depends on what we consider as, well, I'm going to live in an upstairs apartment or a downstairs apartment and have to put up with neighbors. You're going to have to put up with neighbors all around you, up above you, parking out somewhere and walking up to the thing. If that's your trip, that's your deal. And if you decide to live in in an apartment of 14, 15 floors, and you got to walk, the elevator don't work and you got to walk the stairs, that's your choice. You're free to move or to make another choice. Now, some people feel that they are tied to wherever they live or whatever they have to do. And I understand that. I have felt that way in over the years myself until I got here. And then even when I was here, there's been several times where I've almost lost my property in the house. So they're very strict around here with property tax, man. If you don't pay it within 2 months, they sell it. They sell the rights to your property. Basically put a mortgage on it, a lien, so anybody could put they can, before you can do anything or sell the property, you have to pay off the lien. Well, anyway, and it's very expensive. So what might be $400 worth of taxes could end up with after 3 months end up being $1,000, and it all goes to the county. They love it. I've been bitching about this for years, but anyway, um, other counties are in Georgia aren't quite like that. But so that's the freedom that I give up. I have to pay this my $400, 400 and some odd dollar tax, land tax, if I want to live here. Otherwise, they're going to sell the property and the thingy, and they're going to do. So those are the rules I live by. But as long as I'm keep my head down and I don't create a bunch of fuss, they don't bother me. And Lord knows I'm far enough away off the road they can't see what I'm doing down here. And a lot of times they don't even want to come down my driveway. It's like, oh, we're not going down there. It's spooky down there. Good, stay away if that's what they think it's spooky. But freedom. Now, I wanted to speak more to the freedom of spiritualness, but I wanted to touch on the physical things of freedom, because if we have made concessions in our life, live in an apartment building, blah, 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 that's what I mean by concessions, versus living off the land or whatever. It's not easy to be free. You know, if my pump goes out right now, I'm pumping a little too much clay. And so the water is coming out a little orangish, you know, because that's what the color of the clay is. But I know I'm getting my minerals, and I've got 2,000 gallons worth of rainwater that me and the dog use. And so there are other water sources at my disposal. So I'm free to make the choices. Now, over the years, I've collected the tanks and the rainwater and the blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm still trying to dig this well down here in the back. My God, it was 104 heat index today. It was 97 outside. So, you know, and it was 96 at 6 o'clock. It was warm today, right up to the end. So, you know, no, I'm not going to try to do anything. You know, I have enough issues, but you know, heat stroke, you know, I've had enough heat strokes in my lifetime. I ain't going there. But anyway, so, but I still had the freedom to do something here at the house or to watch a movie. I still had my freedom, even though I was really wanting to go outside, me and the dog. And anyway, a couple of days, it'll cool down. It'll be better. So, that's still a freedom. That's a choice. So what about spirituality wise? Now, a lot of people feel that they're tied to a particular thing. There are people who get tied up into, oh, namaste. Everything is namaste. I don't have anything wrong with the phrase. I think it's very wonderful. I think what Jesus said, you know, peace be with you. Peace be to you, with you, my brothers and sisters. Peace be unto you. I find that to be like, wow, what a greeting. Peace be unto you. You know, wow, you know, and your family. And, you know, so in one wishing to be Christ-like in that type of situation, I see the value of greeting someone with peace be upon you, you know, versus hi, how well, but you can say, hi, how are you? You know, hope you're doing well today. So that's sort of like peace be upon you. Some people get a little weird out, but, you know, I mean, here and with people that I know personally, you know, I say peace be upon you. To me, it's like, okay, is that a prayer or whatever? No, that's my wish that peace will come to you, you know, however it may come. So I'm not trying to dictate how you attain peace. So in having conversations with some people, I realized that, you know, some folks with this idea of manifestation, and we have the freedom to manifest things. Now, I consider working with theater or build my house or landscaping. I consider that's what I manifest. And, you know, I looked for certain jobs for years down here. But as hard as I wanted to manifest a job and still live down here, I had to give up my freedom. And the freedom was I'm going to work for $8 an hour instead of 15. But at the same time, I'm going to be here on the homestead. So that was a high cost for me. And I had the opportunity to move to other cities. Couldn't do it Could have moved to Atlanta. I had trained people in AutoCAD. Was very proficient, high marks and grades, and spent 20 years as a machinist. So that I'm, not only could I draw it, I could make the damn thing. But most engineers had never taken machine shop, which I really considered to be like a farce. But anyway, they take machine design or something, but they don't actually go and drill a hole and tap it anyway. So the idea of freedom. So I had the freedom to stay here or go off somewhere, and I did. There were a couple of times where I had to go leave the homestead and go work off somewhere and only visit on occasions. When the carnival was running, this was my home quarters. So when the carnival was playing South Georgia and North Florida and Alabama, I could go and work a week or two and still come back to the house, come back during the week sometime and check on the house, blah, blah. Anyway. So freedom, what freedoms do we have? Well, politically speaking, I don't give a dadgum what it is. Don't put your vote in the mail. This is my suggestion. If you think voting can be tampered with, now this is our freedom and our right to vote. I'm going down to the polling station. I'm not sticking anything in the mail and trying to assume that my vote is going to be there, that nobody's going to tamper with that sucker, or that's even going to get counted. Back in the days of the hanging Chad, they found boxes of voter things in lots of states, and thus Georgia changed their voting machines, and they've changed their voting machines to their new machines this year. So you actually get a receipt, although you don't get to keep it, but you get to read it and sign off and say, yes, this is my vote. I got a paper copy of my vote versus it just went in the machine and disappeared. And then they save those in case they have to get tallied. So in a small district like us, there's 350 people in this district where I live. So there's not a lot of paperwork. But I have a friend of mine who works at the voting polls. And she tells me all the time about people trying to sneak people in and to vote and this and that, and they don't have their cards and they don't have this and they want to bitch and complain. Well, I thought I could vote. Well, yeah. Don't you understand about registering ahead of time and where you live? And well, I live, this is my aunt. I'm bringing her in. I thought I'd vote too. Well, wait a minute. You already voted in another district. So the freedom, this happened the last election, by the way. So, you think, well, voter fraud isn't, it's not true. Oh, yes, it is. It was even evident in some districts here in Southwest Georgia. I hate to say it, some of the black districts, they were trying to, stack the vote, but you can only get so many votes. And there were only so many registered voters in certain districts. And there are people showing up out of nowhere and they're like, wait a minute, where did you folks come from? Anyway, the freedom to vote, though, go vote. Go do it personally. Put on a mask and the right for your vote. So who you vote for, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you that. But if you think you're going to lose your freedom, mail your vote in. Nah, I'm going in and putting mine in the machine myself and going to read my ticket. Just saying. But if we as people of this United States, and we're voting on two senators, I think, at the same time, which is unprecedented because one senator left and there was an appointee. And anyway, so and it's an open race. They're like, I don't know, 10 people running for that Senate race. So it's not a gimme. And if one of the contestants, representatives, don't get it, then they're going to have a runoff election like in December or something, or January. They have to get a certain percentage of the vote, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so, but it's open. So it's like interesting. So even in the times of, this new time, we have these opportunities that don't really come about all the time. So if you mail in a vote, you're not going to get the same be able to vote for the same amount of candidates and all that kind of stuff. And the people handling it won't slip yours into the garbage can. And you'd be surprised. I've worked at places where stuff just ends up in the garbage because somebody don't want to do it. They go, oh my God, I got 200 more of these, and 50 of them go in the garbage can or conveniently get stacked behind something. It happens all the time because people are people and they get bored and this and that, and maybe they're not honorable like some of the rest of us may be. Hey Al, how you doing? I seen you running by. Mary Wins, hi, how are you? Dead people, um, dead people were voting, yes, and there were people who got caught voting, trying to vote in more than one district. That bothers me as well, but that's been going on forever. So but my point to this is that, there are going to be people who are going to try to take that freedom away from you. Well, you might have to go stand in line. Well, there might be sick people there. Oh, God, come on. But to the point, you have the freedom to stay home, and you do have the right to do a mail-in, depending on your state. But if you want it to even come close to counting, please don't mail it in. That's just my 10 cents. Now, there are places like in Georgia, you can go vote early at the machine. You can go to the courthouse and you say, listen, I want to vote early. It's not a write-in, but you get to vote early for the same people. Aha. So maybe you get to vote early, and that's something you could do. But at the same point, so you wouldn't have to stand in line or whatever, but check, and I would suggest that, the polls open 3 or 4 days ahead of time. They always, vote on Tuesday. What a stupid day. Like let's vote on Saturday so everybody can get there, and half of the population is working and makes it easier and less stressful, and more people would show up and, or help other people. I and myself, thank goodness, is only a few miles down the road. But if I had to travel a long way, and the older I get, I might need somebody to come get me so I could vote, not to try to break the vote or anyway. So who you vote for, this ain't about that, but Biden and company, oh my God, if I gotta change my thing from Democrat to something. But anyway, I just, for the life of me, anybody that thinks that ticket, that you're going to put those two on the world stage, oh, I just shudder. You think things might be bad now, which I don't. Oh, please, So anyway, but vote your conscience and go vote if you possibly can. Freedom. That's our freedom to take care of business. I want to go vote on county commissioners who are relegating what the hell's going on here in the county. Some of these idiots aren't actually doing anything for the people here in this county. And so it's like, let's vote their ass out, every 2 or 4 years. Some of them, it depends on what it is. But anyway, I think it's about every 2 years. Sheriffs are being, are up for grabs. So you want to change the policies and so forth in your local area, then go vote, and talk with people in your own area, because how are you going to change laws and things in your area? How are we going to maintain our freedoms if we don't go vote for people who actually believe in our freedoms versus, wanting them to give them away? Now, restrictions within our spiritual life. If we don't feel free physically in the world, then how are we going to feel free spiritually? Because if we feel that we're a prisoner all the time, well, I have to do it like this. And trust me, I've had to do the 9 to 5 and all that stuff, and raising kids and alimony or child support and things. Just been there, done that, So I understand it, and yes, for many years it was one hell of a challenge. And yes, I had other hardships, but yes, I made it and did the best I could. And here I sit now. Good or bad, I'm here. So, but I had the freedom to make choices along the way. Now, certain things, like when I lost my job in 2005 to the NAFTA stuff, there weren't any engineering jobs. They shut down all kinds of machine shops down here in the South. I've talked about it before, but they have taken out three or four industries have literally disappeared down here from the South. Machine shops. There used to be 10 machine shops in Moultrie alone and down in Thomasville. And some of these machine shops were like the bomb. I had motors redid by these folks, shaved heads, bored them out, and rebuilt the engines myself and ran them, you know. So it's like, but now if you want some machine work done, you have to send it off to somebody. And it's like, what? Okay. But, you know, anyway, used to work in machine shops and they're just not here anymore. Don't know where they are, but they're not down here where they used to be plentiful. So the idea of someone needing an engineer or a drafts person like that, or someone in manufacturing, it's gone. So, you know, in that respect, my choices were gone. I mean, literally wiped out. All the places that were that used to work or that used to exist, some of the buildings ain't even there. So the idea, though, that I had the freedom, but again, I didn't have the freedom because the choices that I was hoping to be respectable for me weren't available. So I had to go, you know, talk about downgrading my pay. You know, I lost, you know, I was making about $18 an hour and I had to drop down to 5 or 6 and, you know, once in a while get 10. So I started working for myself and doing painting and things to get by. But I was having to deal with the Mexican labor, which was all paid under the table. So I'm asking $15 an hour because I got to pay my taxes and this and that. And the labor that I get, they're getting paid $10 an hour. And people were like, well, that's too much. I can hire 3 Mexicans for $15 an hour and they share it. And 3 Mexicans versus me, I can't beat it, you know. So, you know, that put a lot of us folk who had made the transition out of, you know, a big corporate job to back doing what I used to do in the day anyway. And it's like took our work away because there was more people who were already doing that. So to come out of something, so my freedom, I would say, was taken away from me. Although I still had options, I could still go here, I could go do that. But to the point though, oh my God, I can't bake bread anymore or whatever, or I can't work over here, or there used to be a lot of trailer manufacturers around here that built really good, solid, well built trailers. Very few now. So, but our freedom in spirituality, if we're caught up in our 3D and that we feel that we're in jail, then we need to loosen that fear. We need to release it because that's the high cost we pay for our spiritual well-being. Our freedom to think freely is clogged by all these physical things that keep us from that. So our freedom, in a way, is being siphoned off, sucked off, or otherwise, you know, we're blindsided by things. And so many folks feel helpless in this. Well, I've lost my freedom because I have to wear a mask in a store. Okay, I don't think it's going to last forever, but I'll go along. I'm wearing underwear. Oh, no, I put them back in the truck. Anyway, it was a teenager's pair of underwear that I cut the crotch out. Fits real well. And I noticed the police have what look like the same thing. So it's like, oh, so that's how they started making those masks so quick. Oh, they dyed a bunch of white tidy whities and cut the bottom of the crotch out and sell them as face masks. Good idea. But from a manufacturing standpoint, the last 6 months has been extremely hard to understand because I know how hard it is to get materials in to start up a project to make masks and all. Somebody knew something ahead of time in order for all these masks to be available now in the way they do. I'm here to tell you, somebody knew something. That's all I'm saying. But the freedom to wear it or what kind or whatever is still being debated. We still have the right to be able to discuss it. And if somebody tries to shut us down, we should weigh it carefully whether or not um, the argument is worth the backlash of the argument. In other words, if somebody is so vehement about it, you can just say, "Okie dokie," if that's the way you feel about it. But the whole idea of the mask is not about the virus, but it's about the spittle. So you can just say, well, if you don't change your mask and wash it out and cleanse it all the time, then it's full of spittle, and that could actually make you sick. Just saying. But anyway, um, and you can leave it at that and just don't argue anymore. And go, I understand. I understand. Okay, be careful. You know. So I'm not going to argue with folks who are so dead set against wearing a mask, driving down the damn highway. Just ain't going to go there. But do I think it's ridiculous? Yes. Do I laugh when I see it? Yes. Do other people that I know snicker when they see that? Yes. So I know I'm not the only one. Okay. So there is a freedom in that, if you will, because there are other free thinking people who are going, those folks are nuts. They're members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, Soul Tribe kind of folk, right? Because they're going, no, I'm not going to accept this. I see going into a store. I'll go along with that. I think it's reasonable. But at the same time, if you're going to tell me I have to wear it 24/7, this is my answer. So I'm going to leave it at that. But now, freedom of spirit and the high cost we pay. Now, I'm going to get off this whatever politics thingy, but we have to understand that it is the basis for our spiritual freedom. Because if we stay caught up in, I know that Trump said this, Biden said that, this one said this, that. I can read the headlines, and I can also listen to some of these speeches and make my own determination and go, that guy's an idiot and he makes more sense, and leave it at that. So, and no one is without fault. Let's just put it out there. Nobody's a saint, period. Drop it. Oh, and by the way, some more Planet X. Oh, there's 50 waves of energy going to bombard the Earth. My friends, as long as this planet and solar system has been here, it's been bombarded from the universe. And as long as this planet and this solar system is still here, we're going to get bombarded from galactic energies, and the sun's going to burst, and we're going to have solar flares. Yes, we live on a planet in space. This stuff happens. Oh my God, it could be a catastrophe, but I'm not going to sit around. I used to be like Chicken Little myself. The sky's falling. And then I realized, yeah, the sky's falling all the time, actually. And if we think about it, we're getting hit by this stuff. So why am I panicked? I lost my panic a couple of years ago. But look at my older videos. I was going to take them down, and I realized no, because I want folks to see I used to be that person. I used to be that idiot. The sky's falling. The craters are coming. The near-Earth asteroids. And I still kind of worry about that. But there's a lot of other stuff we need to worry about than an asteroid. The spaceships that are coming in and things blowing up and things, weird stuff. An asteroid should be the last thing that we should be worried about at the moment. Just saying. And if it does come and we get wiped out, then that's part of the evolution of this planet, okay? And of the solar system. It's just part of it. And whether we like it or not, it's just part of it. And rather than worry about it all the time, which I used to do, it's a whole lot easier if you just go, well, stuff happens. And I've seen debris come flying across the sky. I've described it to you before. I've done videos about it. I even pinpointed one time where I saw a big fireball land. I even named it, down near Perry, Florida, and they said Taylor County near Perry, Florida, and I was like, yep. I could just see where the trajectory was, and that was my guess. And that was what my higher self was saying too. It landed out there in the forest out there in the mini swamps. Yeah, a lot of palmettos down there. But anyway, so our freedom of spirit. Now, if you don't think your spirit isn't attached to this physical domain because of all these said things and the other stuff, just normal everyday living, our higher selves can't be higher selves because we have to lower ourselves or stay here to deal with this which is going on at the present. So that's the cost. Okay. So that's the cost of our spiritual freedom, is allowing all this chaos to hit us. Can we change it? Yes. I've changed my attitude over the years. And that's, like I said, I'm not going to take those old videos down because I want folks to be able to go back and go, he really was he's a strange one now, but he was really strange back then. The sky is falling. We're all going to die. And the fact is, it's like I looked at the Shaman resonance. If y'all checked the Shaman resonance in the last 24 hours, I've never seen it look like that. Now, I don't know if it's the universe that's doing it or their machine is wacky. But if you get a chance, go look at it. It's got these tiny little wavy lines like this far across the darn thing. Never seen it like that. Oh, and by the way, since I lost my last little Chromebook, my suggestion is if you got a Chromebook or anything and you take pictures or something and you go, oh, it's okay on my computer. I can't believe I didn't I should do it like once a week. What I should do is if I have some pictures or something, instead of just considering it being on the laptop, no, immediately put it on the backup drive that isn't plugged in all the time. Because I lost quite a few pictures and a lot of links to a lot of stuff. And so it's like, folks, back up your stuff because you never know when your little Chromebook or whatever is going to flame out on you. And if you don't have your stuff backed up, and how many computers have I lost over the many years that I've had one? And data files and hard drives have crashed, and I've lost pictures of grandkids and spirits, and oh man, just because it wasn't backed up. Anyway, freedom of spirit, and what is our cost? Now, many of us were raised in some type of Christian religion. And I'm going to light this cigarette just for the hell of it. And for like us Catholics, and I can't vouch for all the other Christian religions, but we're born, hey, truth in me, we were born with original sin. And I just don't think that's true. I just don't believe it. How could I have sinned if I'm just born? That I've always considered that to be like, I just don't believe you guys. I mean, wait, your original sin and what's a mortal sin versus a venial sin? Well, if you do enough venial sins, wouldn't they add up to a mortal sin? But, they have to have this sliding scale within the Catholic Church, and other churches are similar, but so we're not free to be spiritual in the sense that we always have to have these guidelines, and we have to be reminded that God will smite you if you don't follow his directions. And it's like, I've been in thunderstorms. I was in a thunderstorm on a sailboat, And man, you talk about something hairy. But the fact that we made it back to shore, we lost the prop. Oh my God, it was horrible. We made it back in under with a jib sail, and in a lightning storm and howling winds, and 3-4 foot waves, which aren't real big, but when they come out of nowhere, it is. Um, so we didn't get struck by lightning. I've been nearby when lightning has hit. Could have perished many times. Could have drowned. Should have died. So it's like stuff happens. Now I have put myself in places at times where maybe I'm a better target. But the idea, though, that our spirit, if we're afraid all the time, how can we experience life? And what's this life of it if it isn't about experience? Because when St. Peter gets you on the other side, he's going to look down the book and say, well, you were good, but what'd you do? Well, I don't know. I went to work and fed the kids and, played golf on Saturdays. That's all? Well, yeah, I gave to the church. That's all you did. Yeah, well, ain't that enough? That's all you did? And my father, my pops, was a lot like that, but he took us camping. He did his fatherly, husbandly duties, but he also said, screw it, let's go have some fun. But there are some people, though, that never say, screw it, let's go have some fun. And he made a change later in life and quit being a meat cutter and a manager and all the stress that goes with that, and went and joined the carnival, And so it's like, all right. And he was a happier person because of it, even though he worked harder. But he found his freedom from being working for the corporate man. This store that he worked for like 15 years sold out to another one, and they demoted him to assistant manager, which was like, and he was like, screw these people, and he joined the carnival. So he made a midlife crisis change, and people said, you're nuts. And in a lot of ways he was, but he made it work. He was happier. He got a chance to go golfing and doing this. And even though working in a cookhouse ain't, that's not, there's a lot of work in it. It's a traveling, grill, anyway. Still the best corn dogs you ever wanted to taste, but haven't had a corn dog since that was any good. Anyway, we used pancake batter on the hot dogs and then pre-fried them until they were mostly hard, and then you finished them off before you sold them, so they were fresh and hot. Anyway, yum those days. But the freedom of spirit. So his spirit changed. He was like 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. Eat supper at 6, bed by 8, 9, 10, blah, blah, blah. I'm back to work. Blah, same thing. Go to church, come home, go back. And he realized, and he made a difference, and he made a change in his life, and it changed him. And he was better off for it. So, but he could have stayed there. He could have stayed at the job. He could have hung out and maybe made manager again. He could have put up with the corporate stuff, but he made a change. So we have this freedom, but in making the physical change, it changed him spiritually. It changed him as a person. So even though he didn't go to church anymore or anything, he was a whole lot better to get along with. He was a whole lot more fun. My dad growing up as a meat cutter guy versus the guy that grew up on the carnival, he and I set up and tore down the scrambler as part of our chores during the week. I used to run the scrambler for that show. And we could have the thing tore down in the truck, lot cleared for our spot in under 2 hours consistently. And people go, what? Yeah, we could set it up in less than 3, but which is a lot harder. You got to block it and level it. But tearing it down, we had this thing, man. All we needed was help to put the buckets in, and I could pull that pig iron. That's some heavy stuff. But That's probably why my back is so bad now. At the age of 14 years old, I could tear down these big, these big carnival rides, and that track is heavy, and I could sling it, slide it, and otherwise deal with it. Where a person sometimes twice my size couldn't deal with it at all. Anyway, been lucky that way. Our spiritual freedom, though. So, what do we have to give up to be spiritual? Anything that's physical. So if we think we got it rough now, so what do shamans do? What do hermits do? They find a place where they can be quiet so that the outside world, you go to where Jesus went to the wilderness. Why? Because there was too much confusion everywhere else, right? The prophets went off to pray, or they went off to the mountain, or off to the desert, or wherever, whatever was convenient. So down here it'd be, I have sort of a semi swamp. It's some places the water's okay, but it's the water is going down. We had some nice rain, but still no swamp. But there's still all of this area and this property here, not just mine, but all the areas that is considered a swamp land. There's all this area to be free in. But let me tell you, if you were trying to live off the land with all of this area, you would have one hell of a time. So people who say, well, I'm going to live off the grid. Listen, I have electricity, okay? But I don't have a washer and a dryer, although I wish I had a washer. I got one I need to fix. But the idea, though, that you free yourself in things, it doesn't make it easier, okay? If you think it's easier, and I've agreed to this, I wash stuff out in a bucket and then use my wash water to flush my commode. Why? Because when I try to put it through the commode, there's so much clay in my water at the moment, it stops it up and the thing runs all the time. The toilet overflows and it's too much water in my septic tank. So it's more convenient for me to wash clothes, and I got 3 or 4 buckets in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and I wash out clothes and I use the rinse water and the soapy water, dirty water to flush my commode with. Now that's reuse of a resource, but the biggest reason is, well, having to jiggle the handle all the time and shut off the thing, it was not working. So that's one. The other thing is that why use clean water to flush my commode? So because this year I've had plenty of water, but over the past years it's been really difficult to find water to bathe with, let alone flush the commode with. So sure, I have the freedom, but sometimes circumstances challenge that freedom. Well, I got plenty of water now, but there have been 2 or 3 years ago, man, we was in a severe drought. So I still had the freedom to stay here, and I did. I hung it out, used water out of my big tanks. So we plan ahead. We try to do the best we can with our circumstances so that we can keep our freedom. So you vote for the people you hope would be the best. You try to make the best choices in life so that your outcome later on in life works out. And whatever it is, for me, it was to have my house paid off and to have no bills. Now, I can't go buy anything on credit because I have none. Everything that I own is paid for. So I don't have any credit. They go, yeah, well, I got 18 and a half acres in a house and it's valued at this and that and blah, blah. I got 2 vehicles. You both paid for. Yeah, but you don't have any credit. No, because everything's paid for. They want you to have credit. They want you to owe somebody somewhere so they could say you have credit. So, but does it matter anymore? No, it doesn't. But it's a freedom I've had to give up. Well, I could just go down and use my credit card. And I used to have 3 or 4 or 5 credit cards, But the idea, though, that, wait a minute, that freedom got me into debt. That freedom cost me a bunch of money and a bunch of heartache and kept me from being spiritual, because all I could do was worry about how am I going to pay these damn things off. When you're making plenty of money and everything looks sweet, then you don't really worry about it. Then all of a sudden there's a giant hiccup, and now you're stuck with all this stuff, which is what happened to me and a lot of the other people too. So that's the price we pay for our spirituality. So what does a shaman seek? What does a spiritual person seek? Centering. Okay, that we can all agree on that. We want to center ourselves, that light within, that part of us that is our soul or our spirit or whatever, however we want to refer to it. And we want to become, understand that with the universe. But when all these other things are taking away from us, the harder it is to concentrate on that core spirit self. And it's part of being human. That's just the deal. So, but we can lessen our burden by, finding out what we need versus what we want. That changed a lot in my life. And I've had several other people over the years who I've warned them. I said, listen, when you're going to find, I predict this, one day you're going to call me and go, you were right about this. And I'm not trying to brag, but you're going to understand it. It's going to come to you because you're that smart. You're going to get it. And they called me and said, you know what? I see what you mean. Me and Mama used to buy all these things because we wanted them. And now we got them. We don't need them. And we find out that what we need versus what we want, we don't want as many things because our needs are different. Our way of thinking has changed. So when you change the way of thinking, when you go off and join the circus, for example, or the carnival, as was my pops, you open yourself up to new things and to a new reality, which can literally open up your spirit. So there are very few carnivals that are left out running around anymore. But anyway, it used to be a booming business. But the idea, though, that if you're finding yourself too tied down, or for some reason I don't feel like I'm being spiritual enough or something, I would suggest that you look at what's around you. Now, there's a crap load of stuff around us now, but how much are you allowing those emotions to cloud your spirit? And you have to take a look at the self. You have to do the dirty work. You have to go into the darkness, and this is part of it. The darkness ain't necessarily dark, but it's places you'd rather not go, so that's the darkness, right? Well, I'd rather not discuss this. Well, it means I got to go make another decision here. Oh, I might have to switch jobs, or I might have to do something okay, but what's that going to do for you spiritually? Are you willing to pay the price? So folks who have gone to the homestead thing or going off grid or the tiny house thing, they have made choices. And in those choices, now some people have gotten into a tiny house and 2 or 3 years later, they go, this ain't for me. But other people are quite happy with it. I can understand for myself because I only live mostly downstairs that if I didn't have this house, I could see where a tiny house would suit me now. I'd still need a shed for all my tools and stuff, separate issue. But as far as just having a place to live, I wouldn't need a very large structure. 600-700 square feet would be perfect, easy to take care of, clean, blah, 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 versus, what I have now. So, but I still have the freedom, right? But if we allow those things to overtake us, it will hold our spirit down. It keeps us too grounded to this place. And and Jesus said in John chapter 2 or 3 or something like that, where the man come up to him and he says, listen, he says, I all my servants are well fed and paid, and and I give to the people and this and that. And he asked Jesus, he said, so what do I do, to go where you're going. And Jesus said, give it all away and follow me. And the man was like, no, I've already given to my servants. Why do I have to give my property away? Why do I have to give this up? What? So the high cost of freedom, especially for the spirit, is to be able to give it all away. Not necessarily right at this moment, but if you cling to it. So if all the things in life, if you allow it to cling to you, it will act like mud. And the mud just gets harder, and the more mud that gets on you, the heavier it gets, and the harder it is to walk. In the swamp, for example, if you go through some muddy places, it'll get on your feet, and it'll feel like you're carrying 20-pound weights on each foot, and you're trying to get out of the muck and this and that, and it's hard to walk, and you stumble and fall and can hurt yourself really bad. There's some sharp sticks that if you were to stumble, have poked me, hit me, and got me in the eye, shoulder. It's, you can get hurt. And these people I see that are jumping around on some of these survivor videos, they're idiots. But anyway, it makes for good show, but don't do it yourself. Don't be jumping from rock to rock unless you absolutely have to. But anyway, or from log to log or something like that. But so if we want to be spiritually free, then we have to look at that which is keeping us down. And if the world is dragging us down, was a song lyrics went through my head right there, but up on the roof. Anyway, when the world is getting you down, up on the roof. Anyway, but the idea, though, that we can make choices so we can lessen our burden, so we will automatically be more spiritually viable. So people continue to look for ways to become more spiritual. Well, if you're trying to meditate and you're having trouble, but if there's all of these other things that are holding you down, it's that higher price you're paying. So you have to look and say, well, I need to lighten this physical load so my spirit can be more at ease, because it does affect you. It does affect you. If people, when you're stressed, do you feel like sitting down and meditating? No. If you've had a bad day and you're cursing or sad or whatever, or both, you realize that, well, wait a minute now. But I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be a spiritual person. No, you're a ball of mess. And it'll take you a day or two to good night's sleep or whatever, to get over that. But at the moment in time and so forth, you're not. But that residual clings to you. If we allow it to cling to us at all, now it can get, it'd be kind of like snowstorm, it lands on you, but it's going to melt. We have to let it go. It's going to land on us. Yeah, we're going to get splattered with mud. Yep, and we can just wipe it off and keep going. But when we allow the mud to cake on us, as a picture, if you will, it will make a difference if you're trying to reach a higher spiritual level. That is the higher price. So, do we have to pay that high price? We'll find out later on, as I have and many others my age and younger have realized that, you know what? I really don't need that. I wanted it. I don't know. Okay, for whatever your rationale. But when you start releasing those things, you automatically start feeling better. My friend and I talked for half an hour the other day till the phone went dead. It could have been longer than that. But anyway, and discussed this very thing, how he feels lighter in his spirit, although he's not necessarily seeking spiritual enlightenment. He was raised Catholic, Christian, Baptist, something like that, Southern Baptist. And is spiritual in that he'll help you if he can. But at the same time, if he helps you and it goes wrong, then he's got anger attached to it. There's an emotional thing. And I'm like, man, you got to let that shit go. You just have to let it go. And helping his grandkids and his kids and all and so forth, and them taking advantage of him and mama over the years. It's just. But at this point, you can't do anything about it, and all you can wish for is more peace and harmony between everybody, and. But that burden helped him spiritually. So I look at it and I say, well, we have the freedom, we have the right to choose what crap we want to carry with us. And you have the freedom of choice at any moment in time to say, from this point forward, I'm going to do my best to not do, or, to do better. For example, I choose for when I made up my mind when I was 250 pounds to say, that was it. I said, okay, from now on, I'm going to eat less at my meals. From now on, I'm not going to worry about how much weight I'm going to lose. I'm going to focus on not eating as much. It's not about pounds. It's how much I'm shoving in my mouth. So I chose to do differently. And then I ended up losing 75 pounds at the end of it. But I hovered about 185, 190 there for a while, but I'm down to about 165. But the idea, though, that it's the freedom. I can eat more if I want to. I can go do this or that if I want to, but I realize I don't need it. I wanted it. So this need-want situation in the 3D world, when you take a hold of that, you take a hold of the chaos, you always hear me talking about it, be the conscientious observer, be the compassionate observer. Pay attention. There's times when we need to put our emotions in things, but most of the time we just need to watch what's going on without letting it attach itself to us, because that is the price we pay for higher spirituality. Shamans, medicine men, do they work 9 to 5? Nah. Are they out there doing the this and the that? Nah. Now, there are those who do things on their daytime or whatever, but it's not necessarily that normal kind of thing, corporate thing. Because I've met some of these folks, and it was in their later years, they realized, well, I had to go out and do the corporate thing for a while, but I made enough money and I learned enough, and now I realize I don't need all that. And that they focus on dropping those things so they can become higher, so they could become higher spiritual beings. So anyway, that's about it. It's an hour and 2 minutes. Wow, I'm going to try to keep it under an hour and something. All right, so truth to me, Mary wins. Good to see you. Michelle says, and that's the grand design of this realm, every imaginable distraction to keep you separate from your spirit and from spirituality. Yes. And the thing is, and every day is different because we got a whole new wave of stuff coming in. But it does fit a pattern, and if you look at, over the years and blah, 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 we got history repeating itself again. Yes, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Bob. I don't know how the feed's been, but, let me take a coffee break here. Hey, Mary Wins, truth to me, did I miss anybody? Yes, yes, Teresa, agreed. It becomes an anchor to a material realm. Now, for those of you, if you've ever dipped candles yourself, so you start out with a wick and you dip it in and you pull it out and you let it dry and then you dip it in, you pull it out. And after a while, what does it do? It builds up and makes a candle. And so that's basically sort of what's happening in life. So how many times do we want to dip ourselves into the chaos, the fear factory? Yeah. Like Michelle says, every single day, whole new slew of craziness and distraction in the fear factory. Yep, absolutely. So, and it's just another one of these things, we have the freedom of speech, the freedom of this, the freedom of that. We have to take into consideration when the right to free speech should actually be used. So I know I can say things in this video I want what I want to, and I could piss people off or not, and I think I have pissed a couple of people off, but I won't go there. Um, but the idea, though, that there are other things and other choices that we can make. What things cling to us? And it's like, for example, someone's got an opinion about a certain thing, and I'm like, you're okay to have that opinion, but understand this: I have the right to not agree with you, but we can still be friends. I mean, I still have friends who are Democrats, but they're fewer and far between now because many of them have become Republican, but at least in some of it. But what we allow, how many times we dip our candle and how fat that candle becomes, is up to us. And I was thinking earlier, I was watching a couple of channels and checking up on some things and looking around here at my own little, homestead. And my light bill is about $50 a month, and I run a refrigerator and some tools and a couple of lights and a TV and a computer, and that's about it. When I run the pump, of course, the pump for the well. But basically, so $55 a month. Now, I couldn't buy and install equipment to take care of this stuff for that price. So, but do I have candles? Do I have a passive solar house? Yes. And the sun's starting to come in the house too. This is that time. This is that time of year. But there are no moving parts. It just depends on the earth and the sun and so forth. And when the trees lose their leaves, and it all works. And it has for years. So the idea, though, that I should become totally off grid, to me is a little absurd, because I would have to change so many things out. It would cost me a bunch more other money. And in the long run, what good does it do me? I've got all this electricity all over my property already, out there in that shed, out here in the barn, out in the bus, over here, over there. And I would have to reroute it, do something different, or have such a big thing. And I can't do it. There are too many trees in my property now. I don't have enough solar gain, So, but the other part of it is, though, is there's still going to be electric lines right over here. And wouldn't it just be more prudent to me to just use what I need and pay the minimum fee and be done with it? Versus if I got all this solar stuff, I'd have to be checking on it and this and that. It don't come free. Well, you talk to somebody, well, we don't have to mess with it. Yes, they do. They got to go check the batteries. They got to go check their this. They got to, if depending on where they're at, they got to wipe off the solar panels. Don't give me that stuff that it's, that's your choice. But if you think it's going to be easier to be off grid, you're a damn fool. And if you think that going back to the land is easy, I'm going to grow my own food and I'm going to do all this other stuff, that is a flipping pipe dream. You can do it. But I'm here to tell you, so many of us over the years have had to go out and rely on other people because our crops didn't come in, or we didn't have enough to sustain us, or whatever the issue. And if you think you're just going to go out here and do this, and even with folks like me who don't need much, it's still difficult. And especially now at my age, I can't go out and run around in the woods and trap and things like I used to, or do these other things. But also where I live, the environment and the amount of wildlife and so forth that's around here. There was a fox in the yard yesterday, and let Duggar out, and man, I think they got after. He might have caught up with that fox. Boy, howdy, that was interesting. I won't do that again. I just wanted to see what would happen. But anyway, gray fox that was here last year killed all my chickens. But our freedom to release what is on this plane so that we can be more spiritually free It is definitely, the two are tied together, because when the body hurts and you don't feel well, and you just don't quite feel as spiritual. I mean, if I'm hurting and stuff, the last thing I'm thinking about is higher spirit. I'm like, son of a bitch, I hurt. Oh, my back. Oh, my this. Holy crap, I got another migraine. Son of a bitch. It's when you're in any kind of physical ailment like that, it's very difficult to go spiritual. So, yes, the two are tied together. Of course they are. But in our spirituality, that higher price that we pay is to learn how to not let these things get to us. And it's a difficult lesson. We unlearn everything that we learn in life. But now for me, there's always been a certain core thing. Like I've been here almost 40 years now on this property, and 36 years, 37 years anyway. Um, and so I've dug my own well. I started out in a shack and a little camper. Um, I have had a um, an outhouse down in the woods because I didn't have a septic tank put in. Um, Built my own septic tank, which is one reason why I don't use a lot of water, because I know how small it is. But after all these years where other people said, well, that's going to fail, it's been 35 years and it's still here and it still works. But I know I have to baby my septic tank. So there's a lot of things that I know and a lot of other things, but um, it's a lot of work over a long time. If you think you can just jump in and do this and it's going to be groovy, and there's still, I spend more time keeping up with this place that I can't finish projects. The woods back here took over the garden and the this and the that. And of course, it's been too hot, and I can't wait to go clear some more. But the idea, though, that I'm going to have to spend a month to beat back what was gone in the spring that came in and took over. So I'm working my ass off just trying to keep up without any new project. So, but anyway, but to the point though, if you think, well, it's easy being a hermit and living down there. No, it ain't. If you think it's easy to keep up a garden and all this, well, you can do these big beds and all this and blah, blah, blah. I don't have that kind of money. I got 18 acres. What do I need raised beds and to bring in extra dirt for? Well, there might be something to be said about that, because it seems like there's something that has contaminated my ground and I can't find out what it is. But anyway, weeds love it here, but certain vegetables it doesn't figure out to me. But anyway, and it might be a nitrogen issue. I have to go back through and do some other soil samples. But anyway, but to think that you're just going to do this one thing, or I'm going to go back to the land, or I'm going to do this and it's going to make everything all right. It's hard work. So your price for the freedom of living down here in the woods is the fact that you got to cut your own firewood. You got to cut your own this. When the well goes out, you got to go out and get water out of the thing. You got to do this. You got to upkeep that. You got to upkeep this. It's not free. It's hard. But I'm free of all these other things. So, but if you think that, well, because I'm free, it's going to be easy. Not necessarily. To be free could mean that you're going to work your ass off harder than you've ever been before. But will it allow your spirit to lift up? When I'm out on the river and I've paddled for a couple hours and I'm coming back and I'm tired and I realize I have to keep paddling. I could give up, but no, you have to dig a little bit deeper and say, well, son of a bitch, maybe I went too far upstream. Well, thank God I went upstream, because now I can float back. But you still have to paddle. You still have to maneuver the trees and the swamp and the this and the that and whatever. So it's still work. You still have to paddle. It's not easy. but you're free. So being down in the swamp and being able to paddle. And if I'm too tired, I can pull over and rest for a few minutes or whatever. It's not like, but if I'm trying to get back by dark or something, but to the idea though, that to be free, we have to do something extra. You want to see what it's like on a mountaintop? You're going to have to climb it. You want to go see what it's like to be on a river or a lake or something? You're going to have to get in a boat. Now, there are those people who have jet skis and boats and stuff that they just go. That's not near as fun as getting in a kayak or a canoe and being one with the water and your surroundings. But if you really want to feel the nature, if you really want to feel the setting, if you want to feel one with the universe, most people go seeking nature in some way, shape, or form. The ocean, a river, park, something. It brings them closer. So sometimes that comes with a cost. You want to go on a vacation, you might have to travel. You want to go see the mountains, you're going to have to put forth the effort. You can sit and look at the brochure all day long, but it don't mean you're going. Wow, here's the Bible, and it says if I do these things, I'm going to heaven. But what are you doing in the meantime? Well, I don't know. I'm just sitting here reading my Bible. That's all you're doing? Yep, sitting here reading my Bible. What about the rest of your life? Well, I got God on my side, and Jesus in my heart, and I got my Bible. And that's it. And it's like, that's it? Yep, I'm going to have my little check, going to make biscuits and gravy, and going to do this and that. And me and Myrtle going to get together and go fishing on Saturdays, because Sunday is prayer church meeting day. But, yep, that's it. That's life. What? And there are millions of folk like this. A lot of them down here in the South. Little old ladies sitting in their house, and they go to church they go to church on Wednesdays only because they get socialized. And they might have a quilting bee or something like that, or they'll go over and see Miss Myrtle or whatever. But is that really living? Is that what we're here for? Well, for those people, it is. And I can't see it. It ain't for me. Although some would say, well, when was the last time you got out, Dave? Well, it's been a couple of months now since I've been down to the river. Well, what's keeping you? Well, it's been hotter than crap. Well, and me and the dog and, excuses, right? Yeah. You're making up excuses, right? Yeah. So you have to be brutal with myself too and go, well, hey, look, man, you're making up excuses not to go to the river. Oh, it's because of the dog. Oh, it's because of the heat. Well, it has been hot, and the water was too high and then it was too low. Well, excuses. Put the damn kayak on the truck, whether you take the trailer or not, for me and the dog, go, right? So at times I feel like I'm that little old lady or little old man who's sitting with his Bible and, watches a little TV and plays with the dog and feeds the cats and does a couple little chores, and that's that, And so I create my own rut. I know it's the weather's going to cool off and I'm going to be going places again. But anyway, I can allow that to burden my spirit down because I really want to go to the river. Or I can say, the river is coming, and this is a time to be patient, because maybe it is too hot for me to go down there. And even though I'm on the river and all that, there are stagnant conditions. There are more mosquitoes and more bugs this time of year. It's humid as crap, and I'm not even in the swamp, technically. So, physically, it may not be a good time for me. And maybe I'm paying attention to my spirit guide, and he's going, just stay at the house. So just a little patience, Dave. But are we making excuses to hold on to chaos that keep us spiritually down? Because as much as I'm like, I really want to go to the river, I can go outside and look up at the stars anytime I want to. So I'm still free to go out. I'm still free to do this. It just may not be wise to go to the river. I'm talking about myself. But in that, I'm like, well, my spirit, because I was having this discussion the other night. And, for those of you who were with me a couple of nights ago, I talked about how there didn't seem to be much of an earth wobble going on. Well, we just went into a huge wobble these last 3 days. I was sitting here and Delaney Pearl was in the house and said it was a Pisces moon or something. And I said, I'm looking at the full moon right now out of this window right there. Last night, couldn't find it. And tonight, I'm seeing it through another window that's another 5 feet taller than this one. So in the last 3 days, the full moon has jumped almost 10 degrees per night. It's way up. There's no way I'm going to see the full moon through that window right there. And I've been watching it through that window now for the last 2 weeks. Well, since after new moon, but watching it like up. So, but in the last 3 days, we have really gone wonky. I mean, I was like, wow. So for those of you who were around with me a couple of days ago, and I was discussing, wow, moon's been pretty stable and things have been pretty okay, but we're going into the summer, the autumnal equinox, and sure enough, man, as soon as I open my mouth, the moon has moved at least 20 degrees in the last 3 days. Unbelievable. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm sitting here, can see it through this way high window, which means if we keep going on like that in another day or two, the moon's going to be straight overhead, which it hasn't been in several months. So I think we're into another wobble. But anyway, just thought I'd toss that in there. But from all my observations over the months and years, it's like there for a while it was, we were 10 degrees a night, and it would come up, then it'd go down, and come up, and it'd go down. Now it was steady for so long, and now it's going back to this up, and don't know. Here's the deal. The universe is going to change. The earth is going to change. People are going to change. Society is going to change one way or the other, but it's going to change. That's the thing we can all agree on. And what we decide in this physical form to accept or receive in this plane will be that anchor to our soul. So with that said, I think that pretty much goes over it. Hey, Delaney, trippy. Yeah, I agree. Can't afford to get sick in these times right now. No, and I really need to go to the doctor, but I won't discuss it. But anyway, something just don't seem right, and I need to go to the doctor just for a checkup. Love the stars these days, says Truth to Me, and they say yes. Notice this as well. Moon just came up about 25 minutes ago here, and it's in a different place. Truth to Me says, I feel like it was redo in some way because everything changed. Yeah. Loco Luna. I love it, Michelle. Yeah, Teresa. And that's the whole thing. With a heat index of 105, going outside at my age is like, because of my condition and the fact that I've had so many heat strokes, it's not a good idea for me to go out. And me and the dog was out earlier, and I was like, I really want to come out, but it's 104, so sneak in and out, little jumps. And I'd be out there right now, but they told me I needed to have this little video conference thing. What people are fighting for as their freedoms right now, freedom in the press, freedom of this, freedom of that. For example, I could write in and I used to be like this, F you this, and these asshole people, bitch, 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 without any kind of recourse or, hey, let's, okay, it's crazy now, but let's move on. Let's look beyond the craziness, and because I used to be caught up in the craziness. So we need to be patient with other people because they feel that their freedoms are being infringed upon, and understand it as like, well, my constitutional rights are being, and I would agree with that. Who tells me that I got to wear a mask somewhere? What gives them the right? Well, if I'm going into a private store, even though it's open to the public, I'm subject to their rules, and I'm cool with that. Okay. It's their store. It's their right to allow or disallow. I'm perfectly good with that. If you're a big sloppy SOB and you want to come sit down and burp and crap all over my counter and I'm serving and there are other people in there, I'm going to ask you to go clean up, come back with other clothes, or please leave. You know, not to be rude, but get out. So I feel it's the right of any private owner who opens to the public to be able to right to serve or reject them folk, you know? Oh, and the gay folks back a few years ago, I think it was up in Portland or somewhere, about they were caterers, and the people said, no, we're not gonna make you a wedding cake. We're Christian. We don't believe in gay marriage. We're not going to make you a wedding cake. So instead of these people finding another baker, they sued the people over the cake. Remember? Now, see, this is where reality has gotten wacko. Who are these people and who do they think that, you know what I'm saying? They have the right to get a cake made the way they want it. But if a baker doesn't want to make it, then go someplace else. Yeah, but Elise's Bakery in Tampa used to be like the best. Now this is not against Elise's, but I'm just using their name. But if Elise's Bakery said, "I'm sorry, you know, we're Roman Catholic and we don't believe in gay marriage, so we would rather not make your cake." But you're Elise's Bakery. You make the best in Tampa. Yeah, but we don't do this. You're going to have to find another. Now, there are several other wonderful bakeries, at least used to be in Tampa area, that would have made the cake. There are private individuals who bake wonderful cakes who would have done it for the money. But for someone to say, no, you can't tell me no, I want you to do this. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't care how you feel. My feelings override yours because of my freedom to be gay or black or Mexican or Christian or Muslim or an old geezer like me. I have the right to be an old geezer if I want to be. But if I'm in public and I'm being an old geezer, that's not necessarily honorable or morally correct because, well, I have the right to be an old geezer any place, anytime, anywhere. No, I don't. At least, you know, but I should have that freedom. Yeah, I've got the right. But as a spiritual person, should I be an old geezer everywhere I go? Should I be this highfalutin lesbian thingy? I'm thinking of somebody I know. Um, that it's like, why can't you just be you? Why do you have to dress up like that? Can't you just go out? You know? No, got to look like this. Got to look like a biker. Got to look like that. You know? Okay. All right. That's your freedom. But is it correct in the universe? Is it honorable to other people? Is it honorable to yourself? How do you, well, I don't care what other people think of me. Well, okay. But if you're going to go around and show them this impression of you, then when they don't like it and you get pissed off, it's what you showed them. You gave them a reason to not like you. Are you paying attention? Well, I don't care what people like. Well, then why are you bitching because they don't like you? Well, because I get to do what I want. I don't really give a well, okay, fine. Then why are you bitching? Then shut up. If you don't care what other people think and you want to wear and do and dress the way you want to, fine. But then don't turn around and bitch at it. Don't bitch about it. Well, yeah, but these people, they won't accept me as I am. Well, stop it. Are you accepting them? No, because they think I'm this, that, and the other thing. And blah, blah, blah. Then you're doing the same thing back. And you're supposed to, you got the Bible in your hand and you're thumping at me that Jesus is on your side. But you're arguing about the people who you swear you don't care how they think, but we're spending 20 minutes arguing why they think the way they do, that you don't care how they think. Now, ain't this messed up? So I bring this point up because that's the high price of freedom. You want to be a particular way and dress that way? Fine. But then when people treat you a particular way, well, they have to accept me the way I am. Fine. You've got orange hair and a great big earring, and this is a guy, a great big earring, and you're wearing lipstick and this stuff, and you're a server. And I'm thinking, you know, you have the right to look like that, but do I have the right to accept you as my server? If I look up and go, I don't want this person handling my food. But I have the right to look like this. Don't you just love my purple, oh my God. I should have the freedom to say, can I have another server? May I be seated at another table? And when the person goes, well, they just got all pissed off. You did it, but they have to accept me as I am. That's your freedom, and it's my freedom. So, but when your freedom infringes upon my freedom, that, well, I have to accept your gay sexuality and everything, but you have to accept me. See me, accept me. I don't do that. I just go, hi, how you doing? Having a nice day? Nobody asks me if I'm gay or not. Not that matters at my age anymore, I don't guess, but what's sex? What? Oh, they talk about it a lot in the movies, but anyway. The idea, though, that the freedom, so my freedom is being infringed upon by having to allow somebody else to have their freedom. Now, I don't like skinheads, and I don't like the Nazi thing and all that. And as long now I brought up this person, and it really was at a local establishment, and it was a thin black man with all the, oh my God, I personally, I just wouldn't have been seen in public at all like that. But because there is so much outrageousness now, and people thought bell bottoms and flowered shirts back when, the hippie days was like, woo, oh my God, the stuff these folks are coming up with now. We would have thought it was stupid back then. What are you doing that for, man? Wow, man, that don't look right. Wow, man, are you sure you're really tripping, But folks nowadays, purple hairs and rings in their nose and here and there, and, their cheeks and their lips are pierced. And it's like, I just have to say to myself, what? So they have the right to do that. It's their freedom. But what about my freedom? It's my freedom to say, I really don't like all that stuff on your face. I don't like all the tattoos. I'm sorry. Yes, you have the right. But at the same time, can I put on my sunglasses? Because I really don't want to look at it. And I'm not trying to impinge upon your right. But what about you infringing your right upon me and then saying, well, you just have to put up with it? Okay. But at the same time, if you tell me, well, my freedom is being infringed upon because people don't like the way I look. So, well, I don't like your ensemble. I don't care if you're gay or not. You look stupid. You look like an effing clown. And I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead looking the way you do. I don't care that you're gay. I don't care that you want to be flamboyant. But that outfit right there stinks, period, regardless of who or what you are. Oh my God! But you're attacking my femininity for the man. This is how I feel. Well, then expect the reactions of people going, and you're just going to have to put up with that. To allow it to think that I just tried to be like somewhere in the middle, like, Now, there were times when I was flamboyant, but I was going to a party and there was a reason to be flamboyant or something like that. But, or outrageous, around theater folk who can come up with the most interesting after after show costume or whatever. Anyway, just to be outrageous, just for the fun of it. But to be outrageous every single day and to think that people are going to accept your outrageous look and that we should just accept it. You don't look at yourself in the mirror every day. I mean, you're not, but every time you come to my table, I got to look at it, I'm just, holy crap, you know. So my problem is that you have the right, and I understand and respect it, but do these same people have the right to inflict it on us? And should we just sit and allow that freedom to be shoved down our throat? Hey, Amanda, how are you? And somebody else, I think, snuck in. Maybe not. So, in talking about this, though, in this distraction, the people trying to put on these airs, well, this is how I feel, and this is how I look. My granddaughter did the same thing years ago, and now she's, after a few years and serving time in prison, she is looking at things totally different. Like, maybe I shouldn't have looked like, maybe I shouldn't have done those things. I put myself in the position to get put in jail. Did you have the right to go out and party and do coke and all this other stuff? Sure. But then when you got arrested, you're going, oh my God, I got arrested for doing coke. But you know it was illegal, right? Well, yeah. Then there you go. But I have the right to do what I want. Sure. But other people make laws. And when you get caught, you have to pay the piper. So what do? So sure, you got the freedom to do it. And, I got away with doing a lot of drugs for a lot of years and didn't get caught. But had I'd still be in prison, right? Because of their rules. So the idea, though, that I have the freedom to do it, and I have the freedom to do it and not get caught, but my freedom is taken away when they catch me breaking one of their rules. But in the moral code of things, I saw that, oh my God, she was 300 pounds. No, this ain't about weight, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. This black woman, like a lot of black women down here in the South, I can't speak for the northern black women, but they got rear ends that are big. And this woman had on a pair of black stretch pants. I do not see how she got them over her rear end and up to her waist, and was strutting through Walmart. You could see every single crack, roll, or whatever on that woman. Now, for all intents and purposes, because she was black and she was wearing these black tight things, it almost looked like she was naked. And everybody in the store was like, oh my God, holy Jesus. And it's like, but she had the right to wear it. But was it morally right? I mean, do you not have any do you really think, well, I'm big, black, and beautiful, and I can wear these tight things? Holy Jesus, God Almighty. There were people fainting in the aisle from this mass objectionable sight there in the Walmart in Moultrie. Lord have mercy, the things you see in Walmart. But the idea, though, that it's the people who are doing it to say, this is perfectly fine. Now, don't give a crap what you feel about it. Wait a minute. But, so somewhere along in here, and I think this is the clash of freedom that's going on right now, that's taken me an hour and 40 minutes to get into in this respect. But from a peaceable standpoint, we all have our own opinion about what our freedom is. I have the freedom to wear shorts but no underwear around the house if I damn want to. I could be naked in my own house if I want to. It's a little uncomfortable, but if I want to go outside and pee in the yard, I can. I'm 100 yards from the road. trees that nobody sees. But to the point though, if I was in town, I wouldn't pee on the corner of of a street corner if I lived in an apartment. So we have to be morally or whatever. My freedom to do this, where and how? If you're around a bunch of family members and you want to wear them black skin type thing, go for it. But to prance around Walmart, I was just like, I was mortified, and I'm not one to like to judge. I mean, I've seen short skirts, blah, 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 but that was just like, that was indecent. And that just wasn't the first time. This one particular one, it was just so grossly outrageous. It would have made a great YouTube video. But million hits. But you're picking on black people. Can't help it. That was her color. It would have been a white woman in that thing. I would have done. I thought the same thing. Had nothing to do with what color of skin, mind you. But it's whether or not our freedom overrides somebody else's freedom. So right now, with all this Antifa and the thing and this, it's my freedom to come out here and bitch about it. Yeah, okay. But should you be standing in front of the police department and calling them names and egging them on? Well, I have the right. And they have the right, apparently, because they're the police, to whack the crap out of you. Oh, but, they're the ones. Now, are you egging them on? You have the freedom. Sure, go ahead. But I have a First Amendment right to be able to speak. And blah, blah. Okay, fine. But should you open up your mouth and F somebody to death with F-bombs, this and that, and then want them to respect you and not club you over the head? I'm a pacifist, but if you did that to me, I'd want to smack you, No, you keep that up and I'm going to hit you. Go ahead, keep going, pow, and then let's see where that gets you. But so one freedom, objectively, depending on the other person's point of view and where they're standing, their perspective, is it right? Do I have the right to exercise every one of my freedoms? Anyway. So we should honor and respect Butt Crack City and Walmarts. Yep. Oh, this was just not a butt crack. This was, oh my God. It was like a map of South America and Africa combined, one side, never mind. Having nothing to do with the black, the lady was black. That has nothing to do with it. She was wearing those stretch black leotards. So anyway. We have to understand and respect other people's freedom. So right now there are people who want to be the person that wears the mask. Okay. Our freedom is we see that there are a bunch of idiots and have gone a little too far with this. But we should still respect them because they're not hurting us if they're wearing it all the time. It's their own personal thing. We can't save everybody. Okay. We're not going to save everybody. We have to worry about saving our own damn souls, or about, our own dead-gum souls. In that trying to worry about everybody else. We can't fix everybody else. We can't. All we can do is be the best we can be and be examples. But, I was worried about something today and I thought, this would be a great topic for a video in the worry, because I'm worried about other people. I'm not so much worried about myself as I'm worried about other people, how they're going to react and how these things, because I've made it this far and I've learned to adapt. And could things be a little more difficult? Yeah. And this is sure, but I'm good. Do I have it simple and easy and all this? No, for some of the stuff I do have to work my ass off to keep the grass and the place and the thing and the blah, 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 and the well. And, no, I have to keep up with it. But because that's a choice I made, I'm free to move out of here. I'm free to do something else. I choose not to. So therefore I must choose the consequences. So, but if you make consequences in this life, understand what's it going to do to your spirituality. So if you're going to wear skin tight black leotards and you're 350 and, and you're all nothing but butt, then expect what you're going to get from remarks and comments and things, even though you're exercising your freedom. But where do you exercise that freedom? Do you tell a 7 foot tall, 400 pound weightlifter to F off and shoot him the bird? No. You might not tell a midget because you kick you in the groin. A tiny person, a short person. Okay, here we go. Little people. Well, how little anyway? Our freedom. Yes, we're free to do whatever we choose. Dahmer was free to kill people and eat them. It was against the law, but he did it, got away with it. Other people have done heinous crimes because they wanted to, and they felt their freedom that they could hack up, chew up, and otherwise, but is it morally right? But sure, we have the freedom. I could go out tomorrow and figure out how to blow something up, but is it right? Would it be correct? It would absolutely be against my spirit. So if we're seeking spirituality, we're not going to go out and do mass bombings. That's against the grain. We're going to live that lifetime over and over and over and over again. And that's some bad karma to take with us. But for those and I can't even think down those lines of harming folks like that. But at the same time, there are people who would put out things on Facebook or make a video about that would be just as detrimental to people's health, spiritual well-being, and that it would be like a car bomb going off and blowing up a bus full of people, because in the spiritual realm, what they're trying to put across, what they're trying to blow up, and what they're trying to disassociate with us physically and our spirit would be, as I know, blowing up a bus is bad, but in the spiritual context, it would be like that. It would be like somebody exploding an IED, an IUD, an intrauterine device. Anyway, I had a brain part there, but any type of explosion to stop or create or end a situation. Sure, we have the freedom, and we should exercise them cautiously. I can run naked down here in my place down here, but we don't run. If I lived in a neighborhood, no, it wouldn't be appropriate. So we exercise our freedoms where it's appropriate. But if everybody's supposed to have the same freedom, like voting, then go vote. If everybody has the same right to be able to drive a car, as long as you haven't DUIs and blah, 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 as a felon, I was supposed to have lost my right to vote. They never took away my voting card, and I never sent it in, and nobody ever asked me. So I've been voting, even though I was a felon. But Georgia has a law that your voting rights can be reinstated after you've served your time and everything, and you've not created any other felonious offenses, nonviolent or otherwise. Which I think, just because you murdered somebody doesn't mean you should lose your right to vote. Now, some would go, well, why not? As somebody who had a drug charge, taking away my right to vote simply because it's a felony does not seem correct. But I have to play by the rules. But I'm because my arrest was so long ago, by Georgia law, I would have gotten my rights back anyway. I never lost them. I never quit voting. I got out of jail. They had a thing. I went and voted. I wasn't supposed to because I was a felon. But so in that, there's voter fraud. Well, you voted after you were committed a felony. Listen, just because I had some drugs on me, why should that preclude me from voting for somebody? Oh, because you were a drug addict. Look, anyway, but so some could say, well, then your vote didn't count back then. Okay, but I know some other people who are, their vote shouldn't have counted anyway. But the freedom of our right to do things, we should morally look at, well, whether or not, for example, things that I put in the titles of my videos. I don't want to put anything in there that's going to catch Bob's attention or his cousins. Thank you, Bob. Donut, please. But the idea, though, that I can still discuss things, I can still have a platform, I can still get my point across, but I don't have to be, you fucking, these people are, and them folks are this and this, and stupid and bad, and stay away from the name calling. Now, I've come a long way, baby, and I still have a long way to go. But I have the freedom to choose my freedom. Sometimes freedoms are taken away and we don't have a choice. But we still have the freedom to say, well, screw it. I'm not going into Home Depot because they said I had to wear a mask. I went in the other store the other day and they took down all the red signs and just put up one or two that said, please be careful. And I was like, interesting. They put up all these red signs a week before. They were all over all these stores, and now all the red signs are taken down. There's one or two signs. And I'm going, interesting. More people were wearing their masks the other day when I went to the stores than they were last week when they had all those signs up. So I don't get it. So, there's this fluctuation of stuff. But, we still have the freedom to go or not to go, or participate or not to participate. Some things we just have to tolerate. And that's the price of being a human being on this planet. Get over it. Death and taxes, right? The only things we got to look forward to. So, my friends, I love you. I got to take a break. I got to go check the moon. The moon's way up in the sky. It's a beautiful, almost full. Full moon was last time. What y'all laughing at me the way I put stuff? Bob and his cousins. Yeah. Yeah, I'm crazy that way. I'm noticing those who are tired of this stuff. Yeah, and they're yeah, we got to take care of Bob, Teresa. That's true. Yeah, there's folks just getting, and in a way, truth in me, your stomach is hurting from laughing. Good. Teresa says we can be free and still respect others' feelings. Right. And here's the thing. And our honor and respect, the person with the dangling thing and the purple hair, oh my God. I mean, I can put up with a lot of stuff, but it was really like hard for me to like tolerate. And, it was just so weird. The combo was just hurt me to look at, but we have to try to show respect. And that was what I thought to myself. I want another waiter. This guy, I can't deal with it. The thing. Oh, honey, how are you? And oh my God, oy vey. But so I was like, no, it's his right, even though my rights are being infringed upon here, my freedom. I'm just this is one of them things in life that I'm just gonna have to just like, well, here we go. Here anyway. But Ruth and me says we went from bad dressing to bombing to voting. Yep, stick with me. I'll change the subject if in a heartbeat. You guys know me that good anyway. I'm showing 132 here. Yep, me too. 132. That's on the computer. I got 11:32 here, or 12:32 at the house anyway. Hi, Delaney. It's good to see you. Teresa, Truth of Me. Yeah, there are many people who are getting tired of this. And life is plum nuts, Michelle. Absolutely. Um, but anyway, the idea, though, remember that we have to honor other people. Now, if other people are disrespecting us, we just need to put up our shield and get on with it. Just ignore them. Just go away. Just you know. Um, and we just do our best to avoid those types of situations. But the idea, though, that to retain our personal freedom of who we are, in other words, I live down here in the swamp, blah, 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 whatever. I've got my long hair, but when I go out in public, I try to tie it back and I wear my hat, you know, so that I look at least a little decent. There are people who look at old men with beards and missing teeth and a ponytail, because I used to do it as a kid going, where's that old codger coming from? Well, now I've become the old codger. And I have the right to be an old codger, but with respect, you know? Now, if I'm sitting around a bunch of old codgers, then we can be old codgery together, you know what I mean? And which is getting a little slimmer and farther between finding other old codgers to be old codgerly with. Lifting a leg and farting every once in a while, stuff like that, fun stuff old people like to do, and then realizing that wasn't a fart, that you got to go to the bathroom and change your pants. But and then that gets hilarious too. It's like, man, I'm sitting in it. I got my Depends on. I can sit here and poo all I want to. And I'll clean it up in a little bit. Got any handy wipes? Anyway, Lord have mercy. I know I go from pooping to voting to bombing and back, right? So, but anyway, um, we could all poop when we go to vote and drop it at the doorstep. No, never mind. Never mind. Anyway, being wacky and crazy, that's my freedom. But also, though, when I do a video, it asks me if this is for children. And even though I try my best not to cuss or use the F word or whatever, simply out of respect to the universe, not because I can't, I just realize that I shouldn't. It isn't worth it for me to be using F bombs all the time. Sure, I have freedom of speech, but what do I want other people to think of me? There was this one channel that got dropped, oh God, about a year ago. And I was listening to this guy, but every third word was, and I was like, stop it already. Well, that's fucking do the think it's weird. And I was like, I'm sorry. Well, I have the fucking right to fuck the you say whatever. And I was like, yes, you do have the right to say that anytime you want to, but it sounds bad, even though it doesn't hurt my feelings for you to say it. I'm finding it, even though I use the word occasionally, I find you offensive. What? Yeah, I told this one guy one time at a video, a YouTube video, and I was in the chat and I was like, I'm sorry, but you use the F word too much. What the fuck? I was, I know you do, but you're. I have to listen to you, and I can't listen to you. Some of the stuff you're talking about is really great, but I can't listen to you. And it's not that I'm closed-minded. You're overdoing it simply because you have the right. Okay, but is it appropriate to do it? Should you do it? For your own respect, for your own soul, should you do these things? Yeah, you have the freedom. You may not have the right, depending on the law in your state or country, but sure, you have the right, the freedom to do it. You might get hung, or shot or worse, but, anyway. My friends, I love you. Delaney, please forgive me if I offended any with my little cuss words in my videos. Delaney, you ain't one of them like that. I know this person was like, they were using the F word 4 times in in 6 words in a sentence. It was outrageously too much. I mean, that's my point. Now I just choose when I'm doing a video to try not to say it. It's my own thing. It's my own thing for the universe, but whatever. But I'm not opposed to somebody saying or to using a cuss word. I cuss like an old sailor. I was a carny, for God's sakes. We made up cuss words that were very elaborate. But the this particular person that I'm thinking of, and there were a couple other channels a few years back. Um, no vocabulary. That's right. But I'll tell you, very inventive with cuss words. They got the point across. No, very little vocabulary, but they were really creative with making up cuss words. But anyway, and there's a talent to it too, I might add. But anyway, but to the point though, when people use it because they can, not for emphasis. I remember we did a play called The Laramie Project, and it was about the gentleman out in Laramie, Wyoming, that I can't think of his name at the moment, but it was a gay boy that they took him out and beat him up and pulled him behind a pickup truck, and then basically used barbed wire and strung him to a barbed wire fence and left him there. And so in this one particular setting, I was in the play, and one of the characters I did, he was talking about Wyoming queers. And he was like, there are 4 cowboys to every 1 female in Wyoming. Now, do you think that every one of those cowboys is going for that one girl? When it's lonesome on the range, all that throwing of hay and all those muscles are gleaming in the sun and all them riding on the ranges, one thing you learn quick is you don't fuck with a Wyoming cowboy. And I was the first person in Thomasville to ever use the word fuck on stage. And the little old ladies, the little blue-haired ladies in the audience, and I went over this with the director and with the cast and with people, and I said, I have to use the word, because you don't screw with a Wyoming cowboy. No, you don't mess with it. No, you don't change. No, when you say you don't fuck with a Wyoming cowboy, you get it right away. You don't mess with them. If they're gay or what, you don't mess with them. So, but anyway, but in that context, there are times when I find it appropriate, is my point. And there are a lot of times when it's just being used because somebody doesn't know how to use language, or they just, well, I can say any damn thing I want to, anytime I want to. But anyway, I do think there's a time and a place for folks to use cuss words, or whatever, for emphasis and so forth. When somebody is a dickhead, they're a dickhead. There's no other way to put around it. I mean, well, I'm offended by that. Well, that's not really a curse word, but you get, penis head. Nah, dickhead. So we have the freedom and the right or whatever, but whether or not we should use it, right? I'm sorry, I'm being a little belligerent, but that's my right? That's my freedom. But I'm just giving some examples and some of the things. And it's like sometimes, some words are just that gum appropriate, it really gets the point across. So, but anyway, I'm not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. All right, my friends, it's been over 2 hours. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And this morning, we got a long weekend coming up. It's going to be hotter and spooky all over the place. So be careful this Labor Day weekend. And if you get a chance to go out and have some fun, add value to your life. Be of value to other people. Oh, and Delaney, my discussion the other night about the the be of service thing has pissed a few people off. Just saying. Anyway, interesting. Um, but we say what we think as polite as possible, and we all know that regardless of how we think of certain things, we are still all members of the soul tribe. We are still all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. We still are all our angels. We have the God spark in each one of us. And value added, be value, be of value, period. But the bottom line in all of this, we can't please everybody all the time, and shouldn't try to, because but if we're if we're being a dickhead, then expect some feedback, and some negatory information. But at the same time, though, if we're trying to be respectful, if we're trying our best to be humble and so forth about what we discuss, or what you discuss, or how you present it, people have the right to turn me off. People have the right to like or dislike, and that's fine. And that is the freedom that we should keep within our hearts. We have the freedom to make choices all the time. So understand our own perspective. Yes, our personal freedoms, should they come first? Don't know. If I want to go into public and start using the F word everywhere, they're going to think I'm a clown. Do I care what they think about me? Well, if I go spouting off a bunch of curse words in a public place, somebody's going to want to punch me. If I go into a public place and I'm like, hi, peace be to you. How are you today? Nice day. How are you? Pleasant, good to see you. If I'm there and going, hey, you yeah, a bunch of goddamn rednecks, so how are people going to treat you? I have the right to say anything I want to, but is it correct in the universe? So we should make the right choices. For those of us seeking spirituality, we know what those choices are. We're going to do the best we can. Thank you for the giggles, Truth in Me. Yeah. Be of value, right? I knew it would stir the hornet's nest, Dave. You did? I didn't, but apparently I did. It's okay, because it had to be said. You've heard me before, Michelle, and some of you've been around long enough. Somebody's got to be the grown-up in the room. Somebody's got to be the camp counselor and go, are you sure about this? And if there isn't anybody brave enough to stand up, then okay, I'll be the scapegoat. That we need at least discuss this. Has anybody discussed this before? Should we discuss it? Should we just all join the bandwagon with something? Should we just automatically add it to our vocabulary before we consider what we're doing or saying, or what our motives are, or what somebody else? This is the point that really got me of the service thing. To be of service to others. It's like, if I want to say it about myself, but when somebody else is implying that I should be because they said so, that's what bothers me. They're implying that I should be. Well, what gives you the right to determine whether or not I should be? Now, I should be of value at all times, of one way or the other. Giggles, laughs, something. There should be a value. This video should be of value, some type of value. Let's discuss this. There should be some kind of value in the discussion. Not whether or not you like me at the end of this, or whether or not your opinion has changed, but whether or not you stop to think about it. That's the point. And so, but hey, is a value. So I'm not going to get back into the discussion, but it was the fact that somebody else was suggesting that we all become this, when in a way, I think it was sort of making me feel like some of my freedoms were being infringed upon spiritually, that somehow I wasn't being of service to enough people. And that somehow my intentions were like, well, but I'm already doing it. Wait a minute. You okay? But to repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is weird, especially when you wish it upon another, you know. And some could argue with a certain amount of validity, and I do. I say this and I pray it. I pray that each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe. And yeah, I'm about to wrap this up. But the idea, though, that I am praying that you will accept and receive, which is your choice, versus forcing you to think a certain way or whatever. I'm praying that you will learn on your own to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe and all the other stuff that goes with it. So that was twice, by the way. I'm sort of doing this prayer as a wrap up of this. But versus saying you should all be of service to someone, be of service. Well, I don't mean me, right? If I'm telling you, but I would say that if you learn on your own to accept and receive the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom of the universe, that's three. And all your friends and your family and all of your relatives and relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept, receive, and to share, and to reject the chaos that comes our way. I'm not implying anything other than I'm hoping. I'm going to pray towards that, and that you will find it on your own through the universe versus the other. So I know they're just a bunch of words, but my prayer, as other people have prayers. Michelle says, big difference, Dave. Your prayer is not a commandment. I wouldn't have said that out loud, but thank you, Michelle, and I will repeat it. Camp counseling ain't always easy. Absolutely. Well, truth in me, whether you use it or not is the action that matters, not the freaking word. Thank you, truth in me. Truth in me, I did, David. No, personally, you both have the intention in the heart, and that is all that matters. Teresa, curse words coupled with intents do harm to others. Yes, like ripping faces off and other violent acts towards them, and like outing a hex on someone. Yes. Thank you, Michelle. Again, but yes, Teresa, I agree with that. Because, our words make a big difference. And I've talked about it so much ad nauseum in the past, and I spoke about it the other day with those people that I worked with in the plant, and how many of those people gave up, made extra time to give me a going away party when I left the plant that time. And so it's like, that's proof that you can change your behavior using good words and being of value to people, bringing value to their lives. I'd go around and tell a joke. I'd check on little old ladies that were having problems with the machine. I'd go by and just check them. How's your machine today, Miss Mabel? Well, it's doing okay, Mr. Dave. Well, good. Now, if you have a problem, you know what my extension is. And that little bit of nicety, if she was having a bad day, Mr. Dave came by to check on her and her machine. I know it was silly. I know to some people it would be stupid, but she felt like, if I have a problem, I can call him. But it's okay. Are you sure? No, I'll step back by if you want me. No, it's okay, Mr. Dave. All right. And so I established this rapport with the people. It took me several years, but at the end of it, they gave me going away presents and stuff and things that they didn't give to the assistant plant manager, who'd actually been there as long as I had or longer. But they had more respect for me. Why me than him or her? Anyway, we can make a difference. We do make a difference, but it's our choice. It is our freedom to make these choices. But when we speak in the positive and we keep our intent clear and we don't force commandments on other people, Michelle, I love it, commandment, then we're doing the best we can. So I was going to pull a card. I'm going to pull one card, okay? One card, not three, not two, just one. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Dead gum bugs. I thought I saw. We got these little German cockroaches. They only get about this long, and they fly. You'd think they're a moth or something. Then they land and they become a roach, and it's like the damn things. I don't see them very often, and I know people who have a lot more than I do. But I got spiders and frogs. You know, yay, a card! Thank you, Bob and cousins, and thank you all chatters behind the scenes. Yes, thank you all. Truth in me, big ones in Georgia. We have big ones here too now. Them we call them the palmetto bugs, even though they're not the same as the Floridian type palmetto bugs that actually stink when you pop them. But we got roaches that are get this big easy, and they fly too. Okay, whoa! Look at this skunk. Yep, palmetto bugs. Yep, great big things. They look like trilobites. They look like, well, they are 1,000,000 years old. Anyway, skunk number 7. Ooh, I'm not sure reputation. Skunk is a good card. Skunk, tell me the story so I will know it well of how to attract and how to repel. So number 7 is reputation. Skunk medicine. Go ahead and laugh. This furry little animal has a reputation that contains a great deal of power. Hooey. It doesn't say hooey in the book, but I just thought I'd throw that in there for, effect. Due to its distinctive behavior and smell, humans give this tiny smelly creature a wide berth. The key word here is respect. So maybe we should all smell like skunks so people respect us? Anyway, unlike other predatory animals, skunk does not threaten your life, but threatens your senses. You know this to be true if you've ever been in the vicinity of its prey. In observing the habit patterns of skunk, it is very easy to notice the playfulness and nonchalance of its natural behavior. The I dare you attitude of this four-legged creature commands you, as the observer, to respect its space by mere reputation alone. Skunk is teaching you that by walking your talk and by respecting yourself, kind of sort of what was talking about, you will create a position of strength and honored reputation. Pepe Le Pew. I was just talking about honor and reputation, about what I learned. So, and then I pull the skunk card. Do they tell us through the cards? Do they back up what I talk about? Thank you, spirits. I appreciate it. The carriage of your body relates to others what you believe about yourself. There is no need to bully, aggravate, torment, or overpower other beings when your sense of self is intact. As with skunk, the resonant field of energy around your body is relayed through the senses. Self-esteem permeates the body's energy and is instantly recognized on an extrasensory level by others. Extrasensory. Learn to assert without ego what you are. Respect follows. Your self-respectful attitude will repel those who are not of like mind, and yet will attract those who choose the same pathway. like-minded beings. As the odor of skunk attracts others of its kind, it repels those who do not respect its space. Skunk medicine people have the ability to attract others, and they are very charismatic. At the same time, the other side of their natural power is to repel those who seek to take energy from them without recycling the gifts that they have taken. Interesting. Skunk medicine people also know how to use the energy flows that will attract a lover. Yeah, that will attract. Some people call this sexual magic, as it is akin to the musk scent that animals excrete to attract a mate. It can be dangerous to leak sexual energy if you are not looking for a mate. That's true. It puts you into a game condition that may feed your ego, but not how others feel about you. If you are attracting others who have an interest in you, you are in a sense saying, "I'm available." This can cause hard feelings when the truth comes out. It also leaks energy that you could have used in a more constructive in a more constructive way. In skunk medicine, it's good to learn how to handle energy flows. Modern psychologists call this body language. In tribal teaching, this is your personal medicine, which you are showing to others. What was I talking about? You know, the hair and the thing and whatever. That's your personal medicine that you're showing to others. Use your medicine well and know that you are known by your reputation. How you use your energy will attract either honor or disgrace. Exactly what I've been talking about. You may want to examine what energy you are putting out that creates your present situation. If you have chosen a symbol, you are being asked to notice the kinds of people who are attracted to you. If they emulate favorable characteristics, have enough self-esteem to recognize those characteristics within yourself. Walk tall and be proud of the accomplishments you have made. Bear in mind that what you believe about yourself is your ultimate protection. Protect your self-respect. Now, in the contrary position, skunk medicine operating through the contrary reverse position indicates that your self-esteem may seem to others if you were putting on airs. Observe whether or not you are repelling others in your vicinity because of envy, jealousy, or a projection of their low self-esteem. Examine your feelings. Be truthful with yourself. Write the situation by assuming the attitude of skunk, nonchalance. That's sort of where I was headed. Sometimes we have to be the compassionate observer. We have to keep an eye. So it's sort of a nonchalance. We look and go, yeah, that's nice. But in assuming nonchalance, you are neutralizing the effect of leaking energy. Let me say that again. In assuming nonchalance, you are neutralizing the effect of leaking energy. We're leaking energy, right, with all this stuff going on. In leaking vital energy, you may be stinking up your environment. This is similar to dumping all of your woes on anyone who will listen. If you are doing this, this may be a time to shut your mouth and go within. You may also be leaking sexual energy and repulsing the object of your interest. That person may be too shy to tell you to lay off. Look deeply at your self-image and how others are reacting to it. To balance the causes and effects of your actions and energy flows, you must decide whether or not you need to spray in the direction of others to repel them, their greed, envy, jealousy, or over amorous tendencies. On the other hand, you may need to always maintain your right to be you. Self-respect is the key to all of these situations, whereas ego is merely what you believe yourself to be. Skunk says, if your ego is not your amigo, you know it stinks. If your ego is not your amigo, you know it stinks. Now, that's an interesting little thing right there. So, and it fits with the topic that they wanted me to discuss tonight. So they give me a card to pull at the end to kind of prove their point, I guess. It's not a point that I'm trying to get across because, we need every day we need to recheck, is my freedom being infringed upon? If so, am I allowing it? If so, maybe this other person with the pink hair and everything, maybe as much as I don't like it, I just need to respect it and go on. Is my ego such that I can't tolerate it? Okay. But with that, but it's our respect in the end. So by allowing this person to serve us at the table, he gained our respect in that we didn't treat him like a freak, although he looked like one. Honestly, some folks there are those people that I have met in my lifetime, and it's like, that was creepy, or that one was so weird it stands out in your mind. After all these years, it still is like, can't get rid of that picture. But they have the right, and I can look back on it now and go, I wouldn't do that. And a lot of other people wouldn't do that, but that was that person. So, who's to say I'm right or wrong? But I know that their freedom and my freedom, sometimes they clash. So we need to have enough respect and be enough self-assured of ourselves that it doesn't matter what their freedom says, as long as we understand what ours is. So, my friends, thank you so much. Michelle and everybody, Teresa, Truth in Me, Delaney, if you're still back there in the background. Thank you. Cosmic hugs, everybody. We got a long weekend coming up. I hope you find something to do. And if not, you stay safe. Thank you, Amanda. You be well as well. So even though I said the prayer earlier 3 times, I'm going to say it again on purpose. Well, I said it on purpose 3 times before, but anyway. In closing, freedom is what we make it. And we've all got our own point of view of what that freedom is. And so before you go off half-cocked about whose freedom is whose, just consider the person sitting next to you may have a totally different opinion about that same freedom. So they may want to shoot you, and you may want to be the pacifist. Whose freedom is right? Let's hope we can choose a freedom that like-minded beings and soul tribe type folk, that we can agree on things and coexist in a more loving manner, which we're doing. So I love you all and thank you. Until next time, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relatives and relations will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe, and that you will continue to share what you learn. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the respect and honor from the universe, and that we may learn to share it between each other. Thank you, my friends. All y'all out there, Michelle, as always. Ween, and they already got Halloween stuff in the stores 2 months ahead of time. But anyway, many blessings back to you, Teresa. Phone wanted to call Hawkeye Mr. Dove. Anyway, we love you. He still goes off for no reason. Be well. Sometimes it is about saying, do not come around if you cannot be kind. Yes, that's true. Yes, absolutely, Truth in Me. And we have that right. If somebody's going to disrespect us every time they come to see us, then we ask them not to come to see us. We don't hate them, we don't whatever, but it has to be a mutual respect. It doesn't mean you have to like them, love them, or to, vote Democrat. But anyway, Thank you, friends. Have a good night. Have a pleasant tomorrow. And hopefully, we'll see you soon. Be sweet, be kind. And as always, TTFN. What? There will be any trick or treating this year? Don't know. They got costumes out there. If you're wearing a mask, why not? But anyway, let's not go there. Check my email. Okay, I'll do that, Teresa. Blessings, y'all. Cheers. Keep the faith. Till next time. Bye, y'all.